This is the Planning Commission meeting for the town of Richmond, Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Welcome to our quorum of commissioners that we have here this evening, and Keith and Aaron from MMCTV. We're going to have a short meeting tonight just to introduce some topics since everybody isn't here. We'll just get started on a couple of topics that we'll take up later on in a more, full way. Any changes to the agenda? Public comment from Aaron? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as posted. Review of the minutes of our June 4th meeting. Any additions, corrections, changes to those minutes? Okay, not hearing any or seeing any hands, we will accept those minutes into the record as written. All right, so we'll go on to item number 4, which is just a reminder that the select board at their last meeting did approve the Act 1B designation. So, as you recall, some people were advocating for it because it might enable more housing. We posted a letter to the select board saying that we were not really in favor of it because we didn't think we were ready for it and have had the person power and the ordinance power to adequately look at any projects. There probably aren't going to be any projects, so it may all be a little bit moot, but they did act to opt in to 1B. A reminder that we're already in the interim 1B. We haven't had any projects, so we haven't had to confront this situation. This is for the permanent 1B designation starting July 1st, 2027 through the end of this plan by the Regional Planning Commission. So what I would like to do is, because we said we weren't really ready, is to figure out how we should be ready. Just in case there is a project, if there is a consolidation of lots within the overlay district, which is going to be the village center and the planned growth areas, which look right now as if it's just the village north and the village south residential neighborhoods. So to build a project that had between 10 and 50 dwelling units would take some consolidation of land within one of those areas. So anyway, so what I would like to do is just to have everybody look at the Act 250 criteria. Many of them will not apply to this district. For instance, if it talks about headwaters, well, we don't have any headwaters in that district. So what we need to do is just go through those criteria, see which ones aren't even applicable, forget about those, decide which ones we care about, and make sure that our standards within our ordinance and our procedures guiding the DRB's work will allow us to look at the things that we care about. So nobody else will be looking at this. The Act 250 people will not be looking at it. So if there's anything in those Act 250 criteria that we think we care about, then we should be sure that our ordinance can handle them. Ian?
This may be a question for Keith. Is the density in the village north and south then different from Jolena Court and the village commercial?
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, the density in north and south is 1/5 of an acre, or 8,712 square feet, 8,712 square feet per dwelling unit. And obviously we've upped the density in Jolena Court because it's special.
Right. Okay.
And we haven't contemplated the village commercial district, which will be in
That's
this
on the list.
area. We haven't looked at that yet, so whatever is currently in the ordinance is what the lot size and the density is there.
So when we talk about the density being 24 units up on Bridge, is it just that Bridge Street block where the hatchet is that has that?
Yep, it's
Yeah.
Bridge Street block, and it's now Jolena Court that also
Right.
has the
Okay.
24 units per acre density.
Okay.
Plus if it's approved on the 4th of August, plus further density if they use any of the density bonus
Right.
units. So, and so far, the Jolena Court District is the only district that mentions that they can use the density bonus units. Now, at some point, we'll want to consider what other districts might benefit from having that.
Hmm.
So anyway, so please look at the Act 250 criteria. And if you go to the Act 250 website, there's a district commissioner training manual that you can click on that tells you more about what these things are that they're talking about. For instance, when they're talking about streams or water supply or impacts to the water supply, the training manual tells you what you're looking for and also whose burden it is to prove that they meet it, that a project meets it. In most cases, it's the applicant's burden to prove that it's met. In some cases, it's any opponent to the project whose burden it is. So, obviously the language is written for an Act 250 procedure, but it does go into more detail about what's involved in thinking about these things. So if you look at those and then you go to our ordinance and you say, well, do we say that, you have to have a water supply, for instance, that you have to have a potable water supply? Is that written in? Just to make sure that our ordinance works, since nobody else will be looking at this. So primary ag soils, impact of growth, necessary wildlife habitat. Well, there's probably none of that in the village, I wouldn't think, and the neighborhoods. Archaeology, all of these different things. If we care about them, then we will be the ones who will want to know about them. So that's one task that we should be doing over time. It's not going to happen. We're already kind of behind the 8 ball because 1B is in, interim 1B is in effect. So if anybody came, we wouldn't have this ready. But so we'll work on it more at some point. I just wanted to get it introduced tonight so that people would think about that.
Is this gonna involve like coming up with a almost like a game plan and a budget for what resources the town should invest in when and if such a development is proposed? I remember one of the things we talked about earlier was identifying consultants to bring in on a temporary basis to cover some of those duties, right?
Yeah, and I can talk to that actually. We do have it we have a line item in our budget for planning services and engineering. And depending on the site and depending on the actual activity that's going on, we have the ability to hire consultants. We've always had that ability. We've done that in the past also. So I guess to answer your question, Chris, yes.
And this is another reason why we want to know, because you're going to want to ask your consultant a specific question. You can't just say, could you see if this meets Act 250? What you're going to want to do is say, stormwater, this looks like there may be a stormwater issue. We would like to have a consultant engineer on that issue. So if we don't really know anything about the criteria or whether they're in our ordinance or not, we're not going to know when we want to ask a consultant. And the DRB seems to need all the instruction it can get in order to actually look at these things. So we would like to give them some, you know, this kind of issue may need consultants.
You always need a
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think of the, I wanted to be clear about the way that we're thinking about it. It's not about how do we develop ongoing capacity in town to do this work ourselves. It's about how do we define the task for consultants and identify consultants that will be brought in as needed. Is that
Yeah.
a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so. And, how do we, when you look at all the Act 250 criteria, we know that half of them or more than half aren't even going to apply. So we're not going to worry about that.
Right. Yeah.
But the ones that may need consultants, maybe there are 4 or 5, and those we would like to be ready to do that.
Okay.
So, all right, any other questions about that? If you want to read the exact motion, it's in the select board's last minutes. You can look it up. But it does mention the planned growth areas and the downtown. Okay, and so that's where the overlay district will be located. So the only other thing that I wanted to bring up a little bit tonight was just an update from the steering committee about the framework or the structure of the plan. There's a whole bunch of stuff from the visioning from the 2018 plan in the back of the 2018 plan. So the thought is that we're just going to leave all that out, basically. And the Almanac is a curious creature that has some data. It was originally supposed to be a companion that contained data and information that didn't need to go into the other part of the plan, the narrative for each section. Well, it's a hodgepodge. The one, and nobody knows what it is. It's just listed as an appendix, as an almanac. So there's no, I see ears. There's no way for people to know what that is for. So we're planning to try to either give a specific appendix by name, for instance, to the energy plan. So the new energy plan from regional planning has to be incorporated into your town plan, but it is full of data. It's full of lots of kilowatt hours and things, and what we're doing now, what the targets are, and so that seems like it should have its own appendix called Enhanced Energy Plan data. Some of the sections, like transportation, they just say, well, we have roads, they need to be taken care of. So if it's something like that, just take what the relevant information is and put it into the sections. So the plan is going to kind of have, so far, it looks like a different structure without the almanac. And the section called Vision to Action we haven't really talked about that at the steering committee, but it's also a little questionable, like the visioning work, it's old. If there are any other sections that need to have a whole appendix, it's going to be listed with the name of, like if the housing committee has a strategic plan for housing that they are thinking of wanting to have a whole appendix for. It's too long to go in the regular narrative section of their section. So, that would be fine as long as it has different information and we're not just regurgitating some of the same general information. So anyway, I don't know, Ian, if you have anything you want to add to that, but were you at the last meeting?
I did. I wasn't, but I watched
Okay.
it. Yeah. I think what you said and just trying to keep things not too detailed is the kind of the message that I got, because you can't, it becomes unproductive, like an unproductive document if we're defining things too much.
Yeah, it has to walk that line between giving people enough information to understand the action and goals, but not burdening them with way too much information.
Right,
And
right.
if we don't do that, the whole almanac is now riddled with inaccuracies because it's old.
Right.
So the whole almanac would have to be just edited. So the thought is to get rid of it and pick out the parts that are necessary and give labeled appendices to the parts that are necessary.
I think one of the expressions I heard a couple times was not reinventing the wheel, maybe, or something to that effect, but.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but
And
making it a better document too.
yeah, making it kind of easier to use. Everything is in one place. There's nothing at the end except where you actually need an appendix, which will be small in number. So
Right.
anyway, so that's where we're at with thinking about the framework of the document. We had the two farmers markets doing some outreach. We have the 4th of July event coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have our two workshops on the 10th and the 12th. And the workshops are going to just briefly be in 4 components. There's going to be a review of the 2018 plan section. There are going to be 2 sections, 2 stations in the room that are current challenges and things that we want to talk to people about, like how are we going to pay for the town center building? You know, how are we going to keep that up? Trails and other recreational activities. How are we going to balance that with the parking issues, for instance? So those kinds of things that we're actually hoping to get some more information from people to help us put some goals, some further goals in the plan. And then the 4th station is going to be the community groups that we've invited to send a representative to talk about what they do. So we've had a number of people who have said they would come, the Andrews Forest people and the library people. I don't know, Chelsea Brook is in charge of that. So we thought that would be a good opportunity for people to understand what other volunteers in the community do. So they're going to sign up. We're going to have a list of them. Josh, I think, is coming on sometime during Thursday. That, you know, the town people, like the water and sewer people, are coming just to talk about what they do and how things are going, and it's an exposure opportunity for them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do we have a list of groups that have been invited?
there is a list of groups that have been invited. Don't know where it is. It's on our website somewhere.
Yeah. I can share that file with you, Chris, if you want to.
Yep.
Yeah.
that'd
And
be
we're
great.
hoping by Monday, this next Monday, to have the time slots figured out of when people were going to be there so that we could put that on our advertising. You know, the water and sewer people, they're going to be there on Thursday from 2 to 3 or whatever. So people can time their visit to the library to hear what they want to hear about. 3 Parks is coming, Historic Society is coming. I don't know if any of the educators are coming to talk about the new education bill. They've been invited. So
Mhm.
that's the plan. And also by Monday, we hope to have the written material available for the challenges and current events sections, so that whoever is there from the Planning Commission who hasn't been part of the steering committee, they will have the material to look at and will know what the program is to use it. Any questions? Okay, Ian is putting in the document, the spreadsheet. Ian, do we have enough people for these events?
No.
No?
Oh,
Yeah.
We
So,
have every slot, there's at least 2 people. So yeah, you can say, yeah, we have enough people, but it would be better to have more.
yeah, because if you have a few people, you can't talk to very many people obviously.
Yeah.
And we would like to be able to talk to people and, have conversations for our meaningful outreach that we're supposed to be doing. So if you can sign up for any other slots, that would be great. The spreadsheet is also, Ian, can you tell them how to get to the spreadsheet? Which,
Yeah, the one that I just shared on there is more of the original list of contacts. So I have to I'm gonna try to locate that other one. If you guys want to keep
yeah,
on task there.
yeah. So anyway, if you can sign up for any more slots, that would be great.
Yeah, the Google Drive is live on the website. So any and all documents are now public facing, so.
Is that, Keith, is that where, when you go to boards and meetings, town plan steering committee, that website, or is it a different,
It's it's a 2026 town plan steering committee. It's just below the
okay,
commission. You slap on that.
right. And where is the spreadsheet? Oh, Google Steering Committee, Google Docs.
There
Okay,
it is.
all right, got it.
Yep. And anybody can go to that, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it's a read only.
To read only. So people can't sign up there.
Well, no, nor would they. That's not the place. It's there for documents to read only. You can't manipulate them. That was the
Right.
point.
So how would people sign up if they wanted to sign up? Like, say, Chris wanted to sign up for a different shift. Just he'd have to contact one of the steering committee people.
yeah, or I can share that link that we have with the sign up sheet that I've sent to people. That's, anybody can edit that. So anybody can sign up on that.
Yeah.
I'll share that right now.
And that
also.
only goes to people who would be signing up, right? I mean, that
Right.
does not go to the general public.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Here's
So,
a link for that one. So if you want to sign up, that would be the link.
Grab that.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Friday morning at the park, it's just me and Jason, as far as I know, setting everything up at 8:30. So if anybody wants to help out with that effort, actually, I'm meeting him at 7:30, actually.
Yeah, you have to get the cars out of there, I think, by 8 or 8:30 or
Yeah.
something. So I will be there at 9.
Okay.
But if you guys can set things up, that would be
Yeah,
good.
I think we should be
Can't be
fine.
there at 7:30.
Yeah,
Way too early.
all right.
Okay. All right, so let's see, how am I saving these documents in the chat?
Remember that right click?
Right click on the document itself. Copy link, right? Is that what I want?
It should work.
Yeah.
And where is,
Ignore the first one that I sent.
okay, where is this copied to?
Well, you would put it onto your homepage or and you would hit save.
So it's just on the clipboard right now, right?
Correct. Should be. In theory.
Okay. All right, I'll try to do that. So anybody have any questions about that? All right, well, that is all I have got for this meeting today. If people could let me know, or Keith know, whether they can come on the 16th. I think you two said you could come. Allison, can you come on the 16th of July?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got Chris, Ian, Allison, and me. That's good. What about 8/6?
I think that's
Does
fine.
anybody know about that? Okay, Ian,
As of now, I should be able to make it, yeah.
okay.
And we're down a member, is that correct? I missed Brighton's resignation.
Yes, Brighton resigned.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yep. Yeah, he, he was, the steering committee is all he can handle right now. So,
He's a farmer.
yeah,
Oh.
he's working farming hours now early in the morning, which doesn't let him do anything else. Allison, did you say you could come on the 6th?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we can have those 2 meetings. Then the second meeting in August is when Keith is going to be away. I don't know what the agenda is going to be, but I guess we'll talk about that later. All right, anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Okay, so if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, that would be okay.
I'll make
I
a
would
motion to
like-
adjourn.
And I'll second
All right, motion
Beat
made
to
by
it.
Ian, seconded by Chris.
Classic.
All right. Have a good holiday, everybody. See you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be safe.
You as well. See you all on the 4th, probably.
it. Yep.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Yep.
Take care.